Now the question, should the federal government step in when local governments collapse? Joining us now from Washington, Fox News analysts Mary Katharine Ham and Juan Williams. Well, the crux of this matter is that New York City has a huge budget shortfall. They're laying off union workers. They're cutting overtime. And then when this comes in, the allegations are, and the New York Post, owned by the parent company of Fox News, News Corp, has done some fine reporting on this, that a few, you put it on, I don't know, sanitation big shot said, you know, F you. We're not going to do anything. Take that. And in the meantime, people died because ambulances couldn't get through, almost near riots in some place. So did the federal government have any responsibility to monitor this stuff?
Oh, yeah, and I think they are monitoring it. According to Janet Napolitano, the Secretary of Homeland Security, they're looking at this issue. But you know what, Bill? It was 10% of the sanitation people didn't show up. So forget even the charges, which the New York Post says they have sources that confirm that some of the sanitation drivers, the people who were to plow the snow, intentionally were snarling traffic and led to deaths. I'm talking about deaths of people who emergency vehicles couldn't reach. That, to me, is just outrageous, but it's an evidence of the mindset of the unions. They feel entitled. They feel that, you know what, you can't budget cut or lay people off in the public sector anymore without feeling that they are legitimate in punishing you, the mayor and the people of the city of New York.
Well, I don't want to convict the whole union, Mary Katharine. I don't want to do that right now, but there is no doubt that there were 20 inches of snow. That's nothing in Moscow. 20 inches of snow in Moscow is a spring day. All right? Somehow the city of Moscow is open. The airports stay open. People can get around. But New York City cannot. And the streets were not cleared effectively. That is a fact. It's now being laid upon the people who are in charge with doing that, the Sanitation Workers Union. So my question is, Kennedy Airport, a vital link to the United States all over the world, down for almost 48 hours. 48 hours! Okay? So what is the federal government's responsibility? Does it come in and take it away from Bloomberg? Does it bring in the National Guard to clean it up? What does it do?
Well, I think the general rule is that the state or the city has to ask for National Guard help or federal help.
Just like Katrina, right?
And I don't think that's a bad plan. As a conservative, I'm not first to jump and say federal intervention is definitely going to be the way to solve this. I think, as Juan says, this is actually an issue between the city government and the city sanitation.
But let me stop you there. It isn't, though. It isn't an issue. It's an issue between 16 million Americans. That's how many people live in the New York City metropolitan area, and I'm one of them. It's not an issue between Bloomberg, the mayor of New York, and the union. It's far beyond that. There was a baby that needed help that couldn't get it.
I'm saying that federal intervention, and I think that federal intervention is maybe not necessary. Maybe actually Obama speaking up about a possible sanitation slowdown could shame those people into getting their butts in gear. I don't think an intervention is necessarily necessary without the state
let me ask you this, Mary Katharine. Wait.
Here's the point.
You're talking theoretically now. We can go back to Katrina.
But it doesn't get to the problem.
No, the root of the problem is the same problem we had in Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
That the local mayor, Nagin, and the governor, Blanco, of the state didn't ask for the feds to come in, and people died, okay? So, Mary Katharine, you're saying as a conservative, I'm okay with people dying if they don't ask.
Yes, Bill, that is exactly what I'm saying. I thank you for saying it so clearly for me.
Well, then correct me.
No, obviously that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that a government intervention in an emergency situation can be necessary. It can be worked out well, but I think that the rule we have where the state has to authorize it is actually a good separation of power.
No, you're hedging. You're talking
theoretically. And I'm saying that the root of the problem is the unions.
You think about it, and I'll come back to you for the last word. She's hedging.
Okay.
We have a realistic situation in New York, just as we had with Katrina. It's not like Katrina. It's not nearly that devastating. Absolutely not.
Right, which is a good reason not to intervene.
Okay, and that's evident. However, when you have the major airport in the country shut down for almost 48 hours, you can't open it for some crazy thing that they couldn't plow the runways or whatever. The federal government is standing there waiting to be asked in. It isn't asked in. When is enough enough, Juan?
Well, I think enough is enough for several reasons. Let me say, as someone who flies frequently into the New York area, the whole New York airspace area frequently ties up the entire national air traffic system. So you got to take that into account. So now it becomes then the FAA should have something to say. But I don't know if the FAA has separate jurisdiction than what's going on with Bloomberg or even the new governor.
The
Cuomo
FAA can
in New York.
regulate safety, but it can't regulate the ground. That's a separate union run locally.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
you know
FAA
more, but you know more than I
safety.
do. But if the air traffic controllers who are, I think, who do report to the federal government say we've got a dangerous situation here, I think then they might have, the federal government might have something to say.
It's one big screw up is what it is. Now I'm going to give you the last word. I don't want you to talk in theory, Mary Catherine. I want you to talk it.
I'm not talking theory. I'm talking about how you fix this problem in the future. And if you want to get to the root of it, you have to deal with the locals and the local unions and the fact that they need to stand up to those unions who have become public servants who
How do they stand
end up
up
being
to
the
them?
public.
How?
By firing the ones who violated the rules and
That's
actually went on
Bloomberg's-
strike. Now, will
that's
Bloomberg actually
Bloomberg's
do that?
deal.
But that's what you got to do, just like Reagan did it
What
in
do you-
1981
wait,
with the
Mary,
federal employee unions.
Hold it. Well, are you going to force Bloomberg, a local mayor, to fire his sanitation chiefs? Is that what you're going to do?
I'm saying public outcry from folks like you, from folks like me, from people all over New York
already been
has
that.
to force wimpy politicians like that who are in bed with unions to actually take a step and fix this if you want it to work in the future.
All right.
You can't
It's
just
a
say
mess.
the federal government comes in and fixes
No,
it.
look,
And
it's
the same
a real
applies
mess.
to education.
It's a real mess. It really is.
Right.
Because
To get it really
people
fixed,
see,
I think
and
you have to get to the root.
People died in Katrina
Yep.
and here in New
That's
York.
right.
I understand that.
All right. Mary Catherine, Juan, thanks. When we come right back.